Welcome to the Blood Angels Commander channel.
Good evening. Hello, brothers. How is everybody today? I just realized my green screen's still up here. Okay. Here we go. It's like a point of no return for it. There we go. Hello. Hello, hello, hello. Alexander, hello. Mark, Podger, Michael. Hello. Hello, indeed. How are you guys tonight? I didn't realize it's been like a month since we did the Army List show. It has been, time has flown past. I mean, everything changed anyway, but I had a shitload of people submit lists. So we're probably going to be playing catch up on the lists for the next few weeks. We also had some boarding action lists submitted. And I'm guessing there's probably going to be some mistakes in some of the lists because points changed. I'm not going to remember all the point changes off the top of my head. I did actually download the data slate because I thought that I might need it. I think it's this. Yeah, so I've got it here in case. How's the arm doing, says Mark? So much better, Mark. Look at this. I can lift it almost above 90 degrees, I guess. It's pretty sore to try and go any further than that, but because it's like my dominant arm, you end up picking up like things in the kitchen or whatever that are too heavy, putting away plates and stuff. So I don't know if I'm going to need physiotherapy. I'm getting a lot of movement back on the arm. I can overdo it. I've overdone it a couple of times this week, but for the first week off, like if I'm just sitting chilling, I'm feeling pretty good. Braden, good evening. John, good evening. Yeah. Okay. Sorry I'm late. I literally just started 1 minute ago, dude. You're not late. Nucking is thinking of swapping 2 troops for 2 devastators to settle backfield objectives. So much more firepower for about the same points. Is it? Is it that much more? Good evening, DTM. Hello. I hope I said hello to everybody. Okay. I think I had something else to say. Let me think. It's gone. I definitely had something to say. If you weren't on last night's stream, then I guess we're going to be doing this year's painting competition pretty soon. Someone kindly donated $100 last night for prizes, so we're doing a painting competition the next month or so. So that happened, and was there something else? Did I miss something else from last night? I don't know. All right. Yeah, there's lots of army lists being submitted. I've had boarding action lists submitted. I've had regular lists submitted, and normally I reply to all my comments on YouTube like straight away, but when I couldn't type with my right arm, I was not replying to all the comments because it was a nightmare typing just one-handed and left-handed, or just using my phone with my left hand. So I'm catching up. So there's still a few lists. Do you know what? We'll start with John's list. John is in the chat, so let's start with his list. That would make a good sense to start with someone who's in chat. And look at all the green names we have tonight. I think everybody has a green name, so thank you guys. I do really appreciate the support. I was speaking to my commission painter last night, and I am going to commission a set of boarding action terrain. So we're gonna have some boarding action campaigns on the channel at some point over the next year. And I guess I think it'll be fun. I think it'll be a different change of pace. I'll do it between training for tournaments. And yeah, okay. Hello, Reziel. Good evening. Hello, Dirty Wizard. Hello, Mike. Mike is the guy I've been speaking to about getting the terrain commission for me. He's torturing himself. Yes. Maybe. Yeah. I mean, I really wanted boarding actions. It was just I don't have time to paint it on top of all the things I want to paint for Blood Angels. This week I'm going to be painting a repulsor. I think I'm not going to play a game on Wednesday night. I'm going to put some paint on the repulsor. 3 colors, just so it's tournament ready. I don't know if I'm going to run a repulsor. Probably not. But again, this is one of the models. I've had this model since. I think I've had this model since it released. maybe even before it released on for my day job. I work with Games Workshop sometimes, and they actually sent me this repulsor probably like the week it released. Like they sent it to me for like a preview or because they like me or whatever. And the fact that it's been sat here for probably like 4 years, not even a second color on it. So yeah. All right, John's list. Let's have a look. So this is this was 2,400 points. All right, I assume it's down to 2K. Oh, that's what I was gonna say. That's what I was going to say. Anyone watch the football this afternoon? I did. That's what I was going to say. I mean, I know it's off topic, but still. It's important. Alright, John's list. How do we submit lists? You just... If you're looking at the YouTube page right now, click under the video where it says Blood Angels Commander, and then you'll see a tab called Community. Click on the Community tab, and then just post your list in the Community post. Some people watch the football. Some people watched it. Alright. Chapter Master. Soul Warden. I like Soul Warden. A Relic Blade and Rites of War. I like both these things as well. Armor Indomitus as well on this Chapter Master. This is a heavy investment then. This is a 3 CP Chapter Master. Armor Indomitus, Soul Warden, Rites of War, Relic Blade. I assume he has a Storm Shield or Infernal Pistol. Okay. So you've got your 1-up save, I guess, right? Because of Armor Indomitus on the Storm Shield. You've got your 4+ Invan. You've got Rites of War. You've got your Mortal Shrug. And you've got Obsec. So this is a big investment, but oh yeah, this is showing the old points cost. Okay. Come on, you Gunners. Yeah, it was good, wasn't it? Really enjoyed it. It was squeaky bum time. I actually texted my friends at like 80 minutes because Arsenal were all over them DTM. And I was like, it's squeaky bum time. We've got the Librarian, who's the Chief Librarian with the Psychic Mastery, which is the +1 to cast. You didn't list the powers, John. You should have listed your powers. You get 3 powers. I would assume Psychic Fortress. If anyone has not yet thought about Psychic Fortress, I think that is going to be one of the biggest important things in the new meta for Blood Angels. Like, I think you have to run a Psychic Fortress Librarian. In my next gaming, and I'm probably going to run him. You can take Null Zone or Might of Heroes or Veil of Time. So you could have 2 of the 3 of them. I think all of them are decent powers. Veil of Time obviously fights first. Mighty Heroes give something more resilience. Null Zone removes invulnerable saves. All these things are good. But remember, you do get 3 powers for upgrading them to the Chief Librarian. So don't scrimp and only choose 2 powers. But yeah, I mean, when I took this to a tournament before, and the 3 I ran were Psychic Fortress, Null Zone, Mighty Heroes. So on the first 2 turns, I would Psychic Fortress, and then I'd Mighty Heroes, whichever one of my Dreadnoughts was furthest forward, because that would make him toughness 8. And then I would let me think. Then I would Null Zone in turn 3 or something when I had it, when I needed it. I haven't, like, I'm getting an Ironclad Dreadnought next month, and I've commissioned it. The captain is 140 points now. The captain is now 85 plus 25. So he's just 90, 110, and then Chapter Master would be... so he'd be 145 in this build. Because the Storm Shield would be free, the Relic Blade would be free. So he'd be 145. This is the old points shown here, but that's fine. Yeah, well, I was going to say something else about this Librarian. Yeah, I'm getting an Ironclad next month. So I was thinking, you know, like, if you use Mighty Heroes in your Ironclad, then that actually makes your Ironclad toughness 9, which is kind of crazy. We don't often see T9. I mean, there's nothing that Space Marines have that's T9. So, have I made any boarding patrol lists? I haven't made any, but I've had, like, 4 submitted. So, Highland Phoenix is in the chat right now. Why don't we look at his boarding patrol list next? We also have a squad of infiltrators with the Gauntlet. I like infiltrators a lot. I think they're good. We have a squad of Death Company with the Infernal Pistols and Power Axes. This squad was really good for Fury of the Lost. Now, I think it's okay, but it doesn't feel like it has a lot of weight of fire. I think for 115 points, which is what it costs, it can probably trade, but in practice, I think Death Company with Thunderhammers are just better than this squad. Unless you're fighting an army that has no invuns, then I guess the Infernal Pistols come into their own. But if you're fighting an army with invuns, then I guess Thunderhammer Death Company are better. You've got the Relic Terminators, all the free Chain Fists, the free Autocannon, the free Plasma Blaster, the free Grenade Harness. I mean, it's cool. I like Relic Terminators. I don't actually own any, but I own Firstborn Terminators, which I converted to have lots of Chain Fists. I like Chain Fists because they're potentially 3 damage, good against -1 damage enemies. You've got the Sanguinary Ancient, who has Wrath of Baal to get that nice extra 2 inches movement. He's got an Infernal Pistol. You got 2 big squads of Sanguinary Guard, a lot of Infernal Pistols and axes and swords. I don't think I like these anymore, John. What's this, like a 7 and a 6? Yeah, 7 and a 6. Oh, I'm getting confused because it's still showing the low points cost, but of course, Battlescribe, a bunch of these lists are going to show low points cost. Maybe it's okay because they're 6s. I wouldn't go much bigger because my experience now is Sanguinary Guard are going to die so friggin' fast. But I suppose the one thing to say is you do have the Null Zone, you do have Psychic Fortress, so maybe there's play there. Maybe that's the right call. I haven't played, like, typically when, like, you know, if we were playing Sisters of Battle, for example, and they're hitting your entire army with -4, with Armor of Contempt you were saving on 5s with Sangard, it didn't feel horrific. It felt like it was pretty nasty. But, yeah, okay. No more than, like, don't ever build a squad of Sangard more than 7. If you're going 6 Infernal Pistols, I think that you probably should be happy with, like, 6 Sanguinary Guard should be fine. I think it's a good idea to go all Infernal Pistols because my experience tells me that the bolt guns don't do anything. The amount of times I fire a whole squad of Angelus bolt guns and do 1 or 2 points of damage makes it seem like it makes a lot of sense to take the Infernal Pistol squad, the entire squad. Quite often you might not be able to fire them because it is hard to get a whole squad within 6 inches of the enemy to fire all of their Infernal Pistols. The weapon options in the Sanguinary Guard box are atrocious, says Galantic. They are, in my own... There isn't a good solution, Galantic. Talk to your tournament organizer or buy Infernal Pistols off eBay or something. Bear in mind that this is just going to be one season and things are probably going to go back to normal. Plasma Pistols are okay in the Sanguinary Guard as well. Now, yeah, I could agree with that, but I think my experience is like I'm too scared to fire Plasma on high power, so I would just take Infernal Pistols. You got the squad of Assault Terminators with 4 Thunderhammers and the Sergeant with Lightning Claw. I feel like you did that backwards. I would have the Sergeant with the Thunderhammer because he's typically going to be the last model alive and he's got the extra attack. I feel like an extra attack with a Thunderhammer is going to be more valuable than an extra attack with a Lightning Claw. So I would probably switch that around. I mean, it's super minor. You got Inceptors with Plasmas, and this is 5 Inceptors. They obviously have gone down like 100 points. Plasma Inceptors are not my favourite unit, everybody knows that, but I think if you use them right, you can get work out of them. Leon says, why do you take 4 hammers in Death Company instead of 5? Because usually you need to give the Death Company some sort of buff before you use them, right? Like, my Death Company are usually put into Assault Doctrine from the Priest and re-rolling hits from a Chapter Master. If you give them re-roll hits and you got them in Assault Doctrine, 4 hammers tends to kill just about anything in game, and people might say the 5th hammer is overkill. But against some really nasty, tough enemies, yes, you might want the 5th hammer. So it's really about just balancing the strength of the squad versus the points you pay. Now you can get a free, like, Infernal Pistol on the 5th guy and a free Power Sword or something. So my squad has like 4 guys with the hammers and a guy with an Infernal Pistol, and I guess the hope is that, the Infernal Pistol can do some wounds to something, and then the hammers will finish stuff off. You got 2 land speeders with multi-malus. They're good as well. They're good for sniping. Good that you can put them in reserve now as well for no CP. Eradicators with heavy melta rifles. This is a big squad, actually. What is this? This is 5 Eradicators with heavy melta rifles and the multi-melta. Well, reserve these guys for sure. That's going to do some serious punch when they come on the side of the board. If you can bring them on somewhere, they can get some rerolls as well. That will help hugely. And then you've got the Whirlwind. Don't take the Castellan Launcher. No, sorry. The Castellan Launcher is the one you want. It's the one with 2d6 shots is the one you want. I think it's the Vengeance that just has 1d6 shots, isn't it? Yeah, so correct. Okay, I mean, I guess if you've got the Hunter Killer Missile, whatever, it's some 5 points. It's fine, I guess. There's not many ways to spend 5 points in a Marine army now. So, my thought, if you look at this here, you've got like 1 Death Company, 2 Sandguard, 1 Relic Terminators, 1 Assault Terminators. I was thinking, and I don't know yet because I haven't played any games with it, but I was thinking that for elite choices going forward, I'm probably going to do 2 Death Company, 1 to send out in turn 1, potentially with Forlorn Fury, 1 to send out in turn 2. And both those units are just trading units. They're going to be 4 hammer units. Just try and trade up. 1 Sanguinary Guard, probably. A 5 or a 6 man. I'm really leaning towards the 5 because I don't think they're survivable at all now. But I do like having Sanguinary Guard. Their heroic intervention is useful, etc., etc. Then I'm thinking like maybe a squad of Assault Terminators. I'm thinking maybe a squad of like shooting Terminators, so like Stormbolt or Cyclone Missile Launcher and that sort of nonsense. And then maybe the squad of Blade Guard Veterans. I guess you could do Relic Terminators. So I'm thinking that you want 3 fast-moving elites and you want 3 durable elites. Because the fast-moving elites are so not durable now. Vanguard Veterans are a weird conundrum. I haven't figured them out yet because they do both, right? They are fast-moving and they are durable. And I've had times where, like, I don't know, like, I've had times where, like, Sisters of Battle have unloaded, like, a whole squad of Retributors. So that's, like, 10 multi-melta shots. Yeah, it's 10 multi-melta shots because one of them gets to fire twice. So it's 10 multi-melta shots, like 4 of them hitting on 2s, 6 of them hitting on 3s, into a squad of Vanguard Veterans. They're wounding on 2s, and I've lost 1 Vanguard Veteran. So Vanguard Veterans definitely have some place. I just haven't figured that out yet. I guess maybe if people want to really push towards fast moving, you need like 3 squads, 2 Death Company, 1 Sandguard, or vice versa. A fast-moving Vanguard Veteran with Storm Shields, and then the 2 Terminator squads or Terminators and Blade Guard Veterans. Lorenzo says Vanguard Veterans feel overcosted. I think that's my issue with them, right? Vanguard Veterans are 31 points per model. A Storm Shield Terminator is basically, what? 33 points per model. They've got an extra wound, and arguably they've got a better save, and they've got a Thunderhammer rather than a Lightning Claw, so you're talking about an extra wound, a Thunderhammer versus a Lightning Claw, and a better save for 2 points per model. Makes Vanguard Veterans, like, yeah, Vanguard Veterans are maybe just really expensive. But they can tank a bit, right? Okay, so overall though, this is I was gonna say overall, what's my thoughts? So, I mean, you've got a good balance between shooting and combat units. I don't love just having 1 troop squad. I feel like at the moment I'm going to want to have 2 troop squads. I also don't love that you've got no way of getting Assault Doctrine early without the Sanguinary Priest. I get the Sang Ancient gives a lot of value. I don't think you're starting with that many CP either. 1, yeah. So if you do a Forlorn Fury, you've got no way of getting them into Assault Doctrine, which I dislike. I always feel like our units don't do enough damage to Assault Doctrine. But I mean, you can run a 90-point Priest without a jump pack or something, and just try and advance them from one place to the other. People are saying take 2 troops. 1 troop unit failed. that since the last patch, you can run Vanguard veterans with free power swords, axes instead of claws if you want to keep their cost down. You could. My problem is I friggin' made all my Vanguard veterans. I made 20 of them last edition. Didn't magnetize hardly any of them. Maybe I magnetized like 5 of them. Maybe 6 of them or something. And like I did expensive weapons on all of them because I'm an idiot. Vanguard veterans with power swords might be the best choice, I guess. I wish I'd done a bunch of Vanguard veterans with power swords. Okay. Alright. Every time you don't magnetize, it comes back and bites you in the ass. It's hard for me to be much more objective with this in the moment, so I guess we're just going to talk about the lists that we're looking at fairly quickly tonight. I still don't have my new book. It was supposed to get dispatched on the 20th. So hopefully I'll get it soon. But John, if you've got some questions about what I've said, please please just write them in the chat. I'm reading chat, so I'll come back to your list and we can talk about it a bit further. Alright. Boarding actions. Yeah, why don't we look at boarding actions list? We got Highland Phoenix boarding actions. Someone was asking, are we looking at boarding actions lists? Well, here's one. So his boarding action list with a Terminator. Sorry, a Terminator. I was going to say a Terminator and Captain armor. It's been a long weekend. A Captain in Terminator armor with a Chain Fist and a Combi Melta. 110 points. Company veterans, 5 man, 5 storm shields, 2 thunder hammers, 2 chain swords. The sergeant with 2 lightning claws. 146. Sternguard veterans with 2 grav cannons. Grav cannons are probably going to be pretty good actually in boarding actions. 2 special issue bolt guns. The special issue bolt gun is just -2 as opposed to -1, I forget. A sergeant with a storm bolter and chainsword, and then the 5 death company, 3 power swords and infernal pistols, 2 chainswords and bolt pistols. And then did you... I was going to say you messaged a couple of times. Sternguard are cheaper than Hellblaster and grav cannons are useful. That's true. Company veterans can hammer things up close with storm shields while bodyguarding the captain. I'm not sure how much you're going to need bodyguard for if you can like block line of sight with units in corridors and hallways. Death Company or blenders, yeah, I mean Death Company I think will be interesting in boarding actions. I still think Firstborn are going to be better than Primaris Death Company, aren't they? The captain is the cataphractory model. And you can hit things pretty hard. Chain Fist on captains are always nice, especially in close quarters. I have no idea if this will work with a boarding action mission. Neither do I, because I don't have my book yet. And then let's have a look at another boarding action list. Let's see what someone else was thinking. So someone else had a similar boarding action list, 500 points. This time it's a Primaris captain with a heavy bolt pistol, a mastercrafted sword, and the relic shield. Do you know what might be interesting is like taking one of these Primaris captains and making them Death Company in boarding actions. We had 2 Blade Guard veterans. I think Blade Guards are probably going to be pretty useful in boarding actions as well. And then we got Centurions. Okay, we're going to see some Turians in boarding actions. Yeah, of course we are. I think we're going to see Terminators, Centurions, Blade Guard veterans. All these units with 4-up saves are going to be good, and or Centurions just because they are pretty tough as well. From the boarding action games I've played, it's way more melee orientated, says Chip. Okay, Chip, nice. John says, thanks, the list was quite out of date, but you came to quite confusions, and it was definitely underperforming. The list I ran this weekend is very different now. Alright, John, well, please submit your list again this week, and we'll try and get it on the show in the next couple of weeks. The Primaris Lieutenant with Shield is going to be awesome in boarding actions. Why, when... No, I guess the Death Company captain can't open doors. Well, he's going to need a couple of veterans with him to open doors, isn't he? Okay. Jace, let's look at just 1/3 boarding action list. Holy crap. Jace just went Death Company captain, Infernal Fistal, Power Fist, Rights of War. How important is OBSEC going to be in boarding actions? Then he went like 6 Assault Intercessors. Then he went just like 10 Death Company. 10 Death Company will be a liability, I feel like, because of their Leadership 7. 10 Death Company work when you're next to Lamartez or you're next to Astrath. Maybe they don't work so well. Leadership 7 on Death Company is really bad. I don't know why it's so bad. I was reading a book the other day, the Astroth book. I just finished it, and in the Astroth book, they're like, the Death Company are fearless, and I'm like, well, they're not. They have Leadership 7. They apparently fear lots of things. Did you? Did you post an Agents of Imperium list? I missed that, Highland Phoenix. I was going back and looking at all the comments. There was a lot of comments that I didn't answer while I had a broken arm. I should be getting back to I should be getting back to answering comments a bit better now. Apparently, units that can't do actions can still open doors. We're supposed to be covering boarding actions on the Grots channel this Thursday. Opening doors is an exemption. Oh, that's good. Okay, good. Good. Because it would be a bit stupid if your Death Company couldn't open the door. Alright, sorry, hey Inks, did I say hello to you? Luke is trying to come up with a 2K GT list. I'm gonna have to come up with a 2K GT list pretty soon. I'm thinking that I might run Reboote this week. Or, I'm not going to play this week. I'm going to paint this model that I was converting into Reboote. If you didn't see my genuinely scary looking conversion last night, this is him. But I'm going to... I think I'm going to run Reboote. I don't know how I'm going to do it. I don't know what I'm going to give up. But this is gonna be 6 months of just craziness, guys. Like, it's just gonna be crazy. So go crazy. And in my list, I'm gonna run Rebooty Gilliman in my Blood Angels detachment. I'm gonna get +2 to charge within 12 inches of Gilliman. I'm gonna get reroll 1. I mean, you could take Centurions and get reroll 1s on them as well, because they're not core, right? Maybe that's what you do. Bring in the Centurions at the edge of the board with Gilliman, and then they get +2 to their charge. And the what other characters are going to run with Gilliman? Probably Psychic Fortress Librarian, probably Sanguinary Priest. I might still run some sort of Chapter Master. I don't know how many points I want to spend when I'm spending 300 points on Gilliman. Maybe I don't need the Chapter Master anymore. If I remove the Chapter Master, it kind of removes my Forlorn Fury threat. So maybe like you just run one Death Company. I mean, I just love Chapter Master rerolls on a Death Company unit. But do you know what? I could lose the Priest. I could run Gilliman, the Chapter Master, and the Psychic Fortress Librarian, because Gilliman lets you start with 9 CP, right? Wouldn't he be good with Armigers, since he can buff stuff that isn't Blood Angels? Yes, he'd be good with Armigers because you'd let them reroll 1s. So if you had Armigers that had that Monster Hunter trait, they would hit vehicles and monsters on 2s and they would reroll 1s. He also will buff stuff like a Repulsor, or some, like, he buffs non-core units. But the Forlorn Fury would cost you 3 CP if you don't have the Priest. You know, 2 CP to put the Death Company Assault Doctrine, and 1 CP to do the Forlorn Fury for the 5-man. But if Gilliman's starting you on 9, then technically you could almost kind of do that. Exactly what DTM just said. You could pop adaptive... I think it's called adaptive strategy rather than adaptive tactics. And that would just get you the turn 1 Death Company in Assault Doctrine. I'd like 3 Death Company Dreads next to Gilliman. Sad they aren't core. Well, next to Gilliman, they reroll 1s. Because they're Imperium, right? And I like the Impulsor now as well. Judiciar or Apothecary in the Impulsor with the Blade Guard veterans. I'd probably... The Blade Guard always tend to die, so I'd probably go an Apothecary over the Judiciar. Maybe drop the Whirlwind. The Whirlwind's a weird one. Like, when you need fight first, you really do need it. I think there is an Inquisitor that can make it that the opponent can't Overwatch, but I think he's got a crappy range on him, right? Anyway, let's get on to Mike's list. Alright, so this is an Omens list that's going to have to be abandoned. My True Blood as named characters are not stacking up. Okay. He's also thinking about Born Heroes and Whirlwind of Rage. Whirlwind of Rage, sorry, seems to support the new glass cannon meta. Born Heroes means I think you get +1 to hit when you charge. Whirlwind of Rage is Whirlwind of Rage is exploding 6s when you're in combat, right? Mike submitted an updated list. Mike. I didn't see it. Did you put it in the comments? Mike. Alright, okay, hold on. I think I've got it. Cool. Alright, for once I actually found it in the comments quickly. Cool. Alright. Cheers, Mike. Let's have a look. Is this the list? Is this the list you submitted? Inquisitors can use Terrify cast, but they're illegal at the moment, says Babel. Yeah, I mean, I think it's a mistake that Agents of Imperium are illegal at the moment. Going Successors for Blood Angels is a downgrade? Not necessarily. I think what you've got to remember is our +1 to wound can be countered by a lot of things, right? For example, if you took... I did a video on that not long ago, actually. Whirlwind of Rage. Whirlwind of Rage is basically like when you get charged, heroic intervene, all that nonsense that normally happens. You burst 6s, right? Like there's nothing that can counter that. You'll always burst 6s. Whereas like if you're Blood Angels and you're fighting, I don't know, Dark Angels, or what else has got transhuman? Snakebite Orcs, or I don't know, Custodes, they have powers that give you transhuman. So anytime your chapter relics cost 2 CP, no, that's a misconception. Chapter relics will still cost 1 CP for successors. I think you're limited on how many you can take, but they will still just cost 1 CP. I remember reading into that rule, and that's that you can. It definitely doesn't cost 2 CP. Yeah, so if you're fighting any of those chapters that are going to nullify your +1 to wound, then if you took like Whirlwind of Rage, and there's another one that's basically the same as the Blood Angels thing, I forget what it's called. It's like Hungry for Battle or something. Hungry for Battle, yeah. So you would take Hungry for Battle, so you keep your +1 to advance and charge, you swap out +1 to wound for 6s explode. In some matchups, it's not a downgrade, it's in fact an improvement. So it depends on your meta, right? Alright, Mike says, this is our year, John. We're going to pile up the wins. We'll see. This season is going to be rough, I think. War of the Spider Inquisition rules valid until June 2023. The problem with Inquisition rules is they currently say... the problem with Inquisition rules is they currently say that you need to have a patrol, brigade, or battalion detachment to take Inquisition. So they don't mention the Arcs of Omen detachment, obviously, because it wasn't made. You need to spend a CP to unlock Blood Angel's relics if you're a successor chapter. The actual stratagem, chapter relics, still costs 1 CP to use. Hold on a second. Let me just clarify this. This came up before. I think some people are confused. Where is it? It's not warlord traits, it's stratagems. Here we go. It's one of the Blood Angels specific one. Honored by the Arx Angelicum, 1 CP. Use the stratagem after nominating a model from a Blood Angel successor chapter of your Warlord. You can give 1 relic of the chapter to this character model from your army that is drawn a Blood Angel successor chapter instead of giving them a special issue warrior or one from Codex Space Marines. If you do, replace the Blood Angels keyword in all instances of this relic with the model successor chapter keyword. You can only use the stratagem once. Yes, so Honors of the Arx Angelicum will cost you 1 CP to give him one of the Blood Angels relics. I don't understand why you think it costs 2. You don't have to pay that to use the other stratagem. You just use a stratagem after nominating a warlord. You can give him a relic. You don't have to then go ahead and pay 1 CP for relic of the chapter. I'm 100% on that. Like, no one's playing it that way. That came up before, and like the general consensus was like, Honored of the Arx Angelicum is 1 CP. You still have to buy the relic slot. It just turns the relic into a Blood Angels one. No, I don't think so. 100. Are you? I wouldn't be paying. This says you can give him 1 relic. You don't have to then pay the CP to give him a relic. Like, it wouldn't say, it would say you have access to 1 relic. It wouldn't say you can give him 1 relic. If you're paying 2 CP for that, I really think you can just pay 1. I don't think anyone's running that. Battlescribe agrees it's 1 CP. Alright, yeah, it's 1 CP, and you don't have to pay relic of the chapter after that. It's a completely separate stratagem. If they wanted that to cost 2, it would cost 2, right? Okay, so here's your RTT list on the 21st and the 28th. Alright, so you already played one of these RTTs, Mike. Cool. Okay, let's have a look. For some reason in test games... Sorry, I've skipped forward. This one won't hold any points, but for some reason test games doesn't need to. Probably because the sheer volume of early league and pressure this list has. Okay. In the 3 test games I've run, even Dark Elder told me that he felt trapped and stuck because if he counter-pushed, he would be giving up the home objective. The RTs will tell us anyway. Okay, so you've got the captain on the bike with the Infernal Pistol and I guess a Master-crafted Thunderhammer. You have a chaplain with Exoration of Rage to give you +1 to wound on shooting. You've got Canticle of Hate to lower charge distances. You've got Honored by the Arx Angelicum, and he's the Wise Orator to give him like on the Angel. Okay, that makes sense. So it's reroll charges. Cool. What was your Born Heroes in Whirlwind of Rage? Okay. It says you give them a relic. Before you got the relic for free and then spend CP. Now the relic is just not free anymore. Yeah, I mean the relic isn't free anymore, but that I'm 100% sure the stratagem is you paying to get the relic. It's not you paying to get access to it. Babbo, if someone's complaining about that, you can ask GW on their web chat. Like, they do answer you, but like honestly, don't pay 2 CP for that. It costs 1. It's. I mean, like, the wording will be the same. Select 1 Adeptus character from your army and give them 1 chapter relic, right? So, like, Relics of the Chapter says select 1 character, give them 1 chapter relic. This one says you can give 1 relic to a character. Alright, the wording's slightly different. But, I mean, they're both saying the same thing. You can give a relic to a character. Right, we get the Sanguinary Priest with Rites of War. Okay, cool. I find the Sanguinary Priest with Rites of War, he is useful, but he's also so weak in terms of, like, if he ever gets focused, he just dies so fast. You've got the Infiltrators with the Helix Gauntlet. Cool. You've got 2 Death Company with the Hammers, which I like. I think that's good. You've got 2 5-man Sanguinary Guard with a bunch of Infernal Pistols, and you've converted them all to Power Fists, which is cool. Who's the Warlord in this list? The Chaplain. Okay. We've got Assault Terminators with Thunderhammers. We have Vanguard Veterans with Storm Shields and Hand Flamers. Very interesting. We also have Inceptors. It's a 4 or 5-man squad. 6-man squad of Inceptors. Sorry, because this is using the new points cost. Holy shit. Okay, 6 Inceptors. 2 Land Speeders with Multi-Meltas. The Storm Speeder Hammer Strike and the Whirlwind. This list struggled on secondaries, and I expect your primary, Little John. I'm back to the drawing board. The speeder shined. I need a unit that can hold positions. I mean, I'm making some heavy intercessors at the moment. I'm thinking they might be useful. Infiltrators are really useful. I think two squads of troops is still really needed. I might even continue to run 3 squads of troops, but definitely not going to go down to 1 squad of troops. I think the sticky objectives is really nice, and secondaries have changed a lot, right? I wish I had the book in front of me. Do you know what? I did make a presentation for the Grotz channel this week, though. So let me just pull it up. I need to make a new version of the spreadsheet once we get some tournament data. But like secondaries have changed a lot. And Assassination, Bring It Down, Codex Warfare, the choices there. So they're all situational. Well, Codex Warfare, I would say never pick as Blood Angels unless you're doing something janky where you're staying in Heavy Doctrine. Grind Them Down, No Prisoners, and Oath of Moment. Share one. Oath of Moment, I guess you can build into. I was going to say, I think this also... So, Oath of Moment is a possibility, but if it's not, if there's no middle objective on the map, for example, Grind Them Down and No Prisoners are also situational. Bind enemy lines, shock tactics, relentless assault, engage in all fronts. Well, you're probably going to pick one, like bind enemy lines, relentless assault, shock tactics. I think you're always going to take one of those 3, right? Like shock tactics, you're going to be needing to flip objectives anyway, so it makes sense. Relentless assault behind enemy lines. If you've got units that you can sneak into the battlefield, that makes sense. Warpcraft, we don't see much Warpcraft because we don't have enough Psychers. And then Shadow Operations, retrieve battlefield data / banners. I think possibly, like, this is the first tournament I've won. Just this one past. And this is probably the first tournament that I went to where all 3 of my secondaries I'd pre-picked. Like, I'd made the list to just pick 3 secondaries every game. And I think now Space Marines are going to struggle to pick 3 secondaries that can score over 10 points each turn. Battlefield Supremacy, we're all good. We're always going to be able to probably score 15 on Battlefield Supremacy. We probably have to do retrieve battlefield data and kind of get 8 or 12 every game. I feel like we probably have to do it. It's like there isn't, like I said, unless you're going to do some janky stuff where you're staying in Heavy Doctrine for Codex Warfare. And then the third pick is going to be probably something like Assassinate or Bring It Down if the lists open up. Or Assassinate, Bring It Down, or No Prisoners if the lists are good for that. You know, when I was playing the Iron Hands, it was just all vehicles, so Bring It Down would be a good choice. Or Oath of Moment if you think you can score Oath. But if you don't go into an event, or if you don't have 3 very clear choices, or a sort of short list of the categories that you're going, then what will happen is you'll get to the event, and I've done this myself. Hey, Gory, thank you so much for subscribing. You'll get to the event, you'll not know what secondary to pick, and you'll fuck up. And then you'll lose the game because you picked a secondary that you got, like, no points on, I guess, right? I did have this flowchart. Like, if you haven't seen the flowchart, I had a flowchart from last edition. I was going to say, I also have a picture. That was my arm for anyone that missed that picture. Where's my flowchart? Here was my flowchart. So I had this flowchart from last edition where I broke the stuff down. Thank you so much for subscribing. Do appreciate it. Jacob, appreciate it. I had this flowchart from last edition where I like tried to make like yes no questions and then put the actual points that these things were scoring in tournaments. Because a good example of this was people used to say like Blade of Sanguinius is a brilliant secondary, and I was like, well, tournament play tells me it's actually shit because it's one of the lowest. Nephilim data is also kind of shit. So they took away Fury of the Lost, which was a good one for us. Oath of Moment has been buffed though, so Oath of Moment is probably on average in tournaments going to score you 10 points every game now. Maybe we'll see, because like one component of it got buffed by like 50%. So if you said it was 8.3 before, it's probably going to be 995. So Relentless Assault behind enemy lines with shot tactics, any of those three is a good pick. Then it's probably going to be like Oath, maybe. Once there's some tournament data from like I can get numbers and we can break it down, I'll remake the flow chart. But trust me when I say, if you're going to an event, if you don't have like your secondaries almost pre-picked, then you're gonna struggle. Fury of the Lost was my favorite, says Luke. Fury of the Lost won me my tournament, right? Like that's the first event I played Fury of the Lost at. Michael says, does anyone think Assault Marines are competitive with plasma pistols? Does plasma make up from the desk company's extra attacks? I mean, they're much better, Michael. Guys, if you are enjoying tonight's stream, please hit that like button. I see we got 72 people watching and we have 20 likes. So see if you can bump that for me. I would appreciate it. Take like 2 seconds of your time. Oath is an auto take on the center of the objective map. Yeah, so if you think about it, if there is an objective in the middle of the map, then Oath is probably an auto take. And so is shot tactics, because you're going to have to fight over that middle objective. It's a 5 objective map. You can't let them sit on 3 the whole game. So arguably you're going to flip that middle one 3 times. That's going to be 12 points. You're going to get Oath as well. So sometimes, and then you've got easy plays around like battlefield data maybe. All right, Mike. Yeah. So I'm not sure I love the Hand Flamer Vanguard veterans, and I feel like I maybe if this was my list, I would try and get another survivable unit in there, like Blade Guard veterans or Terminators. And I know you got one squad of Terminators. I just don't really think one is probably enough anymore. And also try and get another troop choice in there as well. But you're gonna have a tough call because you've got like 250 points of speeders, 250 points of inceptors, and 125 points in the whirlwind. So you're like 625 on heavy support. So it's almost like something's going to have to give. You're either going to have to give up one of these squads, or you're going to have to give up some of this fire support. It's a tough one. It's tough indeed. Hand Flamers to me seem like a strange choice, because if you think about giving the Vanguard veterans a power sword, on average a Hand Flamer is going to get 3.5 hits. On average, when they charge, Vanguard veterans are going to get probably more than 3.5 hits, especially if it's Assault Doctrine. They're probably getting 4 attacks per model. Strength 5 minus 3 power sword with +1 to wound from the Red Thirst is going to do a hell of a lot more damage than a Hand Flamer, which is toughness 3 with no +1 to wound, and I don't even think it's got any AP. So that's something I would consider. Luke says I was running 3 Assault Marines for Relentless. Love them with plasma pistols now. With free hammers, they're even better. Yeah, I mean, that's cool. Luke, how do you feel about behind enemy lines now? Because I feel like the troop component of behind enemy lines is going to make behind enemy lines like... It's not going to make Relentless Assault redundant, but I think in a bunch of games I'm probably going to start going behind enemy lines over Relentless Assault. I already did, because if you're going to run Armigers, behind enemy lines aren't going to help you. But if you're going to run Armigers, they can't score Relentless Assault. If you're going to run Voidsmen or Inquisitors, they can't score Relentless Assault. But these things can all score behind enemy lines. Behind enemy lines is straight up better than Relentless in a world where people are aiming behind enemy lines themselves and contesting Relentless. That's the thing I was thinking as well. If you're playing Eldar, you should never pick Relentless Assault, because they're going to want to have like 3 transports and 3 units of troop in your deployment zone, and they're all cheaper than ours. So you're never going to score anything from Relentless Assault. So, yeah. I've never been a fan of Relentless Assault. I've used it a bunch. I used it, I think, at a few of the events that I almost won. I was pleased when they added shot tactics, I'll be honest, though, because I think with Relentless Assault, I always felt like there was 2 or 3 units just stuck in the opponent deployment zone sometimes. How are you planning to getting those troops with your opponent's screening though? Well, I mean that's just the thing, right? Assuming Voidsmen can still be in there, Voidsmen are on tiny little bases, and it's going to be map dependent, but it already is, right? What's the one map? I forget what it's called, where all 5 objectives are not in the deployment zone. Like if you get that map, behind enemy lines is just going to be brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. I would reckon that like you could probably get 3 CP as well as cap it pretty easily. Vanguard vets with double plasma pistols or infernal pistols is the new meta. My problem with pistols, Michael, is that they don't have any weight of fire. I mean, I guess if you can go double pistols, that gives you some weight of fire. Recover the relics. Yeah. Thanks for that. Recover the relics. It's one that gets picked reasonably quickly or reasonably often in tournament play as well, right? Like if you play this one, then there's almost like there's no reason for your opponent to be in the deployment zone. There's no. Actually, this isn't the one. There's one where all of the objectives are in no man's land. Isn't there? Maybe it's recover the. Oh yeah. This one is So it's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So all of the objectives are in no man's land, and if that's only 12 inches, then the board is what 48 long. I never remember. No, it's 60 long, right? So this deployment zone is actually like 60 minus 24 is like 38. So each of these deployment zones is like 19 inches with nothing in them. So if you pick up this, I don't know, like in turn 2 when you can bring in your strategic reserves, bring them in right here. Like 1 inch away from, like just as close to your deployment zone as you can, and then turn 3 you're in there, turn 4 you're in there, turn 5 you're in there with troops. That's 3 command points. I guess the only other way you could do it with troops is if you had a rhino or something like that to get it on turn 2. But it is interesting, right? I think I prefer Relentless Assault as it is just not wholly within. Yeah, the problem though now is what Luke said, and Luke plays quite a few tournaments, is loads of, like, considering how good Relentless Assault is, behind enemy lines is for like armigers. If you're only 24 inches apart, remember armigers can move like 12. They can full tilt 9, and then they can charge. So they could charge something into your deployment zone in turn 1. So, and then if they did that, they essentially have a troop model in your deployment. So they're getting 1 CP for having that armiger in your deployment zone turn 1. So why would they not spend 1 CP to do why would they not spend 1 CP to advance it in? So yeah, it's a good point. More people will be building for behind enemy lines. I know that I certainly will be, because I like CP, and if I'm playing and I can just drop my unit of Voidsmen in this corner in terrain, and know that that's going to give me 9 points and 3 command points, and he's going to have no units anywhere near them. They're completely safe. That's 9 victory points and it's 3 command points. I can easily throw another unit, a land speeder, in on one other turn and pretty much cap behind enemy lines and give myself 3 points, or 3 command points. All right, next list, because we'll be talking about strategy all night or forever. I'm not sure how many lists we're going to get through tonight. Actually, what's the time? Oh, I've been live for about an hour and I've done 2 lists. Okay. Podger. That was one of the lists. Oh, nice short list. Okay. Troops just die, so they probably won't get you much. But the point is that you'd hide them in cover, right? Like I'd put them in an obscured position, so there's no way you can shoot them. Like this sort of thing, there'll be a big ruin in the backfield. There'll be a big ruin within one of these sides that I can just pop units onto. I feel like that's 100% going to happen. I probably actually have a screenshot because I downloaded all the maps from my event. let me think where I put them. I put them on my C drive, YouTube 2023. Yeah. So like this is I played this map, whatever it's called, the Scouring. I played this map against Custodes, and here's your terrain layout, right? So objectives are like here, 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 one hiding there, and the one in the middle. So like turn one, when he moves this Telemon onto this objective, and he moves these 3 Custodes forward close to this objective, this whole, I can put anything behind this bit of terrain in the corner, and it's like totally safe. He won't be able to shoot it. He's not going to want to make his Telemon walk back into this corner, or his OBSEC Custody Guard, whatever they're called, Custodian Guard. He's not going to want to move them all the way back to the corner back here to kill 5 Voidsmen at arms that are just scoring me 9 points and getting me 3 command points. Maybe he is. But I mean, I would almost take that as a win. If he's going to move all the Custodian Guards and Telemon off the objective to kill the 5 Voidsmen I dropped back here in an obscured position, I'd take that as a win. I would take that as a huge win. Probably opens up some of the board for me to do other things, right? Alright. Next question. If my opponent puts anything into my deployment zone for behind enemy line, it's never safe. It's my priority target. Well, I mean, yeah, that's fair enough. But like sometimes against Eldar, he could feasibly have 4 units in your deployment zone turn 1, maybe even 5, right? And maybe you can mop them all up, but maybe you can't. Put the Voidsman in a speeder. I think they FAQ'd that, dude. You can't put them in the speeder anymore, but that was cool. On that mission, it's hard to screen deployment unless you're against guard or spammy army. Yeah, I mean it definitely is. So it's map dependent, is what I'm saying. But on a map like that, behind enemy lines is going to be insane. Guerrilla tactics as well. Exactly, Luke. Like, so you put your Voidsman down there in turn 3, so they give you 3 victory points and a command point, and then you guerrilla tactics a unit in turn 3, so then you get 3, 4, 4, basically using like barely any units, and they can't deny it, which is nice. I mean, yeah. Okay, so Podger says, Arcs of Omen list building for survivability while keeping speed and offensive power includes some units which haven't seen much play recently, but now with the points drops, I think it's possible to field them in numbers large enough to be useful. Outriders. Whoa, Outriders. I don't know about that. I mean, you've taken it too far, Podger. Outriders. Okay. I'm shocked. My jaw's hit the floor. Basically taken instead of troops. Impulsor, Blade Guard, Veteran, rush for center objectives and decent amount of bodies, armor shooting could still slap up close. Alright, so you've got a Librarian Dreadnought, you've got a Sangre Priest with a jump back, you've got the Indomitus Captain and the Relic Shield, a Mastercrafted Power Sword, he's a Chapter Master. You've got 5 Incursors, you've got 5 Assault Intercessors with Thunderhammer, you've got 2 5 Blade Guard Veterans, you've got 5 Death Company with Infernal Pistol Power Swords, you've got 5 Assault Terminators with Thunderhammers and Storm Shields, you got a company champion who's been upgraded, the chapter champion with the Relic Blade. He's really cheap now. He's a cool unit for sure. You've got 5 Plasma Inceptors and 3 Plasma Inceptors. You've got 3 Outriders. You've got the Lancer. You've got 2 Impulsors with the free shield domes and the free weapons. Good luck using reserves to deep strike to score behind enemy lines in the Infiltrator meta. Yeah, we're definitely going to see more Infiltrators, that's for sure. I mean, you could make the Infiltrators your priority target, though, Reziel, with your Forlorn Fury. And I actually think killing a squad of Infiltrators might actually be kind of valuable. Like, when I was playing Iron Hands, and I knew that was kind of his only OBSEC unit, if I'd gone first, which I didn't went first, I was definitely going to put at least 1 or 2 Thunderhammers into his Infiltrators, because I just figured, like, the Infiltrators are screening out his whole deployment zone. If I can kill them, it just opens up so much of the board for me. And like 1 or 2 Thunderhammers, yeah, I probably wouldn't have killed as much armor, but killing the Infiltrators might have been really worth it. Especially, I would have then Wings of Fired some of my other units as well, right? I like the champion in other lists, but here he's walking. But here's the thing, Highland Phoenix, everything's free in Strategic Reserve now. So the champion, although you're looking at him thinking he's walking, he can be Strategic Reserved. Your Outriders can be Strategic Reserved. Your Lancer can be strategic reserve. Everything can be strategic reserve. And I actually think that everything can be strategic reserve is kind of broken and silly, because it's giving shooting armies a huge advantage in that all the shooting units can be strategic reserved at almost no risk. So I said earlier that I would like 3 fast moving units, 3 slow moving units. I guess he's got 2 Blade Guard and Assault Terminators as slow moving units. He just has the 1 Death Company as fast moving. I think if you're going to run 1 Death Company, you definitely want them to have the Thunder Hammers. I think it's really important. I get Infernal Pistols and Power Swords is like some people have seen it as a really good thing. 50% can be reserved. Well, technically, 49% can be reserved, or you could reserve 999 points on a 2000 list, because it has to be less than half, and it has to be less than half your number of units. So if your army has 15 units in it, you could reserve 7. But yeah, I mean, like when I was playing Iron Hands, I didn't even realize this. He's just like, I'm going to put 3 of my Gladiator tanks in reserve. And I was like, oh crap, that's going to be real interesting when all those multi-meltas come in at half range from my guys and hit on 3s rerolling 1s with that amount of multi-meltas. I don't like Outriders either. I don't think they're that useful. He doesn't have Infiltrators in this list. I'll probably add some because they're going to be very useful. They're going to be very useful against Chaos right now. It's hard to screen little 32mm bases. That's why Voidsmen are really good as well, because the Voidsmen are on 25 or 28, so I forget. Their bases are friggin' tiny, those Voidsmen. So they're Voidsmen are also really good for what's it called now? Retrieve battlefield data. 25 is what the Voidsmen are. They're tiny, those bases. Like 5 Voidsmen is the size of like 1.5 Terminators. Don't get me wrong, I wish Outriders were good. Yeah, I think I've got like 7 of Outriders, maybe even more. They need bigger squads, they need weapon options. I think the only reason to take the Voidsmen is that they are 40 points and they guarantee the Nachman data, or they guarantee the battlefield data. And because they have tiny bases, you can usually squeeze them in somewhere. I'd probably take 2 if I could, if you were allowed to take 2, because they just sneak in. They sneak in. They're very difficult to screen again, and 40 points to just guarantee 4 victory points seems fair enough. I'd rather. Well, I mean, my Voidsmen aren't there to kill anything. They usually come in, they do data, they maybe move on to an objective. That's it. I think I'm going to probably still need a unit that can do data. So, like, assuming that I'm gonna have enough troops to guerrilla tactics for some data, then the Void. So basically, like, turn 1, I do retrieve battlefield data probably in my deployment zone, one of the sections. Turn 2, I do it in one next to it, or if there's a sneaky place I can bid the Voidsman in, we do it there. Turn 3, either do it in the one next to, or sneak the Voidsman in, and then turn 4, that's where it gets tricky. But typically, with the free reserve rule, I think the Voidsmen, they just got stronger, right? Because before you were having to pay CP to get them in, and it forces the opponent to screen everything. And some armies aren't able to screen. Retrieve battlefield data is a trap. You can only score 12 on it, which isn't enough points. That's the minimum to be scoring on a secondary. They've changed that now, right? Space Marines do not have secondaries that can score 15 points reliably. Not Blood Angels, anyway. We'll have like 1 we can score 15 more points reliably, which is, what did we say? Battlefield Supremacy. Which is behind enemy lines, relentless assault, or shock tactics. Yes, we can score 15 for that, right? We can maybe score 15 if the enemy has something like a Bring It Down, or an Assassinate, or a No Prisoners that we can pick. But if we can't pick any of those 3 because their armies aren't suited for it, then we're probably stuck with something like Oath, which on a good day will score 12. If you're scoring 15 on Oath, the only way you're scoring 15 on Oath is if you get to go second, because it's stronger if you go second. It's kind of dumb that it's stronger if you go second, but like, so if you go first, 12 points on Oath is probably actually really good. And then you're stuck either doing banners or battlefield data. And banners works well on 6 objective maps, not so good on 2 objective maps, or 5, sorry, like 2 on your side of the screen. So I don't think space. The event that I was just at, I'm always taking banners, oaths, and relentless, and I normally score 12 from them. Well, I mean, that's cool if you can score 12 on all those every turn, but there's armies out there that can score 100 every turn, or 100 every game, sorry. So Marines are in a situation where, like, if you can score 90 as Marines, that's pretty good. Unless maybe you're Iron Hands. I mean, I got beat by Iron Hands this week where they just smashed the crap out of me. And he only scored 92. I do support Arsenal. I take it you saw the game tonight. What a beautiful third goal, wasn't it? Yeah, I actually got a photo of my kid. I bought my kid she's 3. I bought her an Arsenal strip. Let me see if I can show you. See it? So I was posting on Facebook earlier the picture of the two of us. That feeling when you beat Man United. I just think you shouldn't take data, John, as a trap mate. I don't really want to see you caught in it. I mean, I've been doing it data for a while. Banners is fine, but there's certain armies where you just want score banners, right? Data, I guess, is probably a trap, but we don't have that many other good secondaries. If you can avoid data, sure. I've built for data for the last year or something. And I have had some pretty decent wins in the last year. It is what it is. Space Marines are not in a position where we have the ability to score 100 in every game. I mean, I took photos actually of my tournaments, of my tournament play. I'll tell you what I scored. I had an 84, had an 89, had a 76, had an 83, and an 85. So it's like, yeah, we're not, and that was with arguably better secondaries than we have right now because I was able to take Fury of the Lost. So yeah, I mean, maybe the meta I just play in is full of really horrible cheese lists. There are some where like 90 points for Marines is honestly good. I look forward to the day where I have an army where I can score 98 points in every game because some, Necrons have been able to do that for a while. Knights can sort of do that at the moment. They can easily score like damn near 100 points every game. We just can't. We really just can't. If you're not scoring banners, you already lost the game. You have to hold objectives. Interesting point. Interesting point. I suppose it depends on how competitive and how fast and how much flipping there's going on, right? Because like a lot of those games, I felt like I got 40 on I got 40 on primary, sort of, but I'm not always able to hold. Yeah, interesting. Maybe I need to play a bit more with banners, but I mean, banners is cool with sticky objectives now because you could sticky them and then you can just move off them. So raise the banner, sticky them, and then move off. That's why infiltrators, I think, are going to be really good. My thought Do you know? Here's the thing, though, right? Like you look at the because I had all the data from where was it? So I had all the data. Like I pulled all the data from all the different tournament events over like a 6 month period. So this was like 6 months worth of tournament play, and it said that on average, people that take banners score 7.63. So when you compare it to people that take Nephilim data, there's nothing in it, right? Like banners and Nephilim data are not good scoring secondaries. And this was tournament data across all game. Like it was a giant pool. It was like every army in the game. It was like 20,000 battles or something. So so arguably, I suppose, like if you just want to follow the spreadsheet, arguably it says yes, you should take banners over data. On average, you'll score half a point more. Um, but still, it's not a good scoring secondary. I mean, but if you look, like this is what I was saying about Space Marines. On average, the only secondary that Blood Angels had over the last 6 months that scored more than 10 points on average is Relentless Assault. Um, yeah, I suppose you're saying you can't base it on all armies, but I think this is indicative of. I think this is a good point of reference because people will pick these picks thinking they're strong, right? No one goes to a tournament and goes, "Oh, I'm going to take banners on this map because I think banners is weak," right? People will only pick banners if they think they can score high on it. And this was why I was saying like it was interesting to see Assassinate and Blade of Sanguinius so low because people often think like, oh, Assassinate, you've got 5 characters, I'll pick Assassinate, but then on average they're scoring 7.5, which is kind of terrible, and that's why I never got on board of the Blade of Sanguinius train because yes, sometimes in games you'll get 15 for it, but then sometimes in games you'll get 0, and if you get 0, you probably just lost the game because you can't afford to take a secondary you get 0 points for, right? All right, next list. But feel free to disagree with anything I'm saying. I mean, I'm no expert. I'm really no expert. I'm just trying to say what I think or say what I feel. Um, uh, the the chart is available in the community tab of the Blood Angels Commander channel, but I mean it's out of date now. Doom Giver. I want to update it, but I need to get data. But yeah, so you just go to like YouTube / at Blood Angels Commander / community or BA Commander, and then just scroll down. The chart will be somewhere on here. I guess I post a lot of stuff. There you go. So it's just like a couple of pages down. You should be able to just save the JPEG from down there. But yeah, it's out of date now because the secondaries have changed. What I do want to say, though, I suppose, while we're having a big debate about the secondaries, is see that chart. I went into a game. I think it was actually one of my stream games where like I went into the game and I was going like I don't know what secondary to pick, right? Because like sometimes you come up against enemies where you don't know what to pick. And I remember working through this and I got down here to like banners and Nephilim data and assassinate or some nonsense. And I remember looking at the spreadsheet, and the spreadsheet said like in this situation, I should take a certain thing. But in my head, I was like, but I feel like I'll score more with the other one. And then I followed the spreadsheet, and it was the right call. It looked like it was going to be completely the wrong call, but in turn 5 or something, I did all the requirements, and I scored like really well for it. So like, I do think there's strength in knowing on average what these things score at tournaments. Like even if this is all armies, I still think there's strength in knowing that like people perceive Assassinate as a good secondary, but people would only take Assassinate if they perceive it as a good secondary. So by that sort of logic, then if there's one better, like bring it down, then you should probably be taking bring it down, right? Cool. Okay, sorry, next list. Who have I got lists from? We've got Benno. I don't know if I saw Benno in the chat today, but let's have a look at Benno's list. So it's his first attempt at Arcs of Omen list, and he's updated the points. Cool. He's got squads with Infernal Pistols for phase cap damage. You know what? I haven't fought anything that had a phase cap yet in Arcs of Omen. I hate phase cap rules. I hate phase cap and entire armies fight first. They're the two rules that I think are the most dumb in 40k right now. Also going to shoot a target and charge another if the position is good. Yeah, totally can. Aggressors will be combat squadded into 3. Nice for anti-horde firepower. 5 Inceptors dropping down with Descent of the Angels and rerolls can do well into most targets. Quake Bolts for the +1 for the hit means Thunder Hammers or Power Fists can hit on 2s. Assault Squads used for cheap trade units and to score Relentless Assault. Okay, interesting. Hello Benno, you must have heard me through the ether called your name. Here we are. Okay, so we got the Captain on the bike with a Gift of Foresight. He's got a Combi Melta. He has Armor and Dominus and a Thunder Hammer. Cool. We also have a Sanguinary Priest who has Rites of War. My personal preference here is to have Rites of War on the Captain, because I think the Captain is much more survivable. I don't run Gift of Foresight on the Captain anymore. I just gave him Rites of War and Armor and Dominus. If the priest ever gets focused, he just dies, and it's hard sometimes. It's hard sometimes to, like, if you put the priest, like, even if you put 5 Blade Guard veterans on an objective, right, and you transhuman them, and they're next to a priest with a 6-up, feel no pain. Sometimes they just all die, and then your priest's on the objective by him fucking self, and he'll die. Whereas at least if the captain is on the objective by himself, you can activate Armor and Dominus and sort of cross your fingers and go, well, I've got a 3-up invulnerable save, and I've got 7 wounds, and I've got toughness 5. I can maybe survive something. Whereas I feel like you can never do that with the priest. Data is easy to counter. I always focus on scoring units, and they have to use units to score banners out of position. I guess that's true turns. I hate any rule which removes dice rolls, except Flamer auto hits. What removes dice rolls? I think Veil of Time in a normal librarian can be used because I charge into the Silent King confidently. The other thing you can do with the Silent King, Tarek, is he only makes you fight last if you're in engagement range of the Silent King. So just charge his menhirs. Like, just position your unit so that you're not within engagement range of the Silent King. I mean, you don't need to be, right? How's it going, Croaseon? Good evening. We've got infiltrators with the Helix Gauntlet. We have aggressors, 5, 6 of them with the bolters. Nice to see these aggressors back. I used to love them last edition. What do you think about Storm Shield on the bike captain instead of the gun? If you're running Armor and Dominus, you're already on a 2-up save. Because Armor and Dominus gives you +1 to your save. So I prefer to have the gun, personally. But I mean, I don't think there's much difference between a 2-up save and a 1-up save. Maybe ever so slightly against -1 AP weapons, but I guess if you aren't running Armor and Dominus, the Storm Shield's probably fine. I don't understand how that works. I made a video. I'll just explain it to you. Hold on, let me just bring up Silent King. I actually made a video on this on the channel. He's a unit, right? He's like Sarek plus these menhirs, right? There's 3 models, right? 3 models. That's what it looks like. Engagement range is 1 inch, right? So, like, if you're within 1 inch of Sarek, he makes you fight last. Where's the text? At the start of the fight phase, if there are enemy engagements with an engagement range of Sarek, then until the end of the phase, the unit cannot fight. So when you charge him, just put all your units around the menhir and make sure you're more than 1 inch away from Sarek. Then you fight first, because you charged. Super simple. Hope that makes sense. Alright, we've got Death Company with Infernal Pillar Stones and Power Axes. all on one, and then 4 hammers on the other one. Cool. I think the hammer Death Company are probably still the most important thing. You've got Infernal Pistols and Power Fists on Death Company as well, 135 points. You've got the Sanguinary Ancient with Infernal Pistols and Wrath of Baal. You've got 3 squads of Sandguard, 6, 7, and 7, with Infernal Pistols, tons of them, and Power Fists. You got the 2 Assault Squads, you got the Inceptors, and then you got a squad of Eliminators. Right. Tell me, though, Benno, and I don't mean to sound... and you've got all the free weapon upgrades and stuff here. How do you deal, like, I like a list like this. I know that they're reasonably decent. What happens when you fight an army that has the entire army fights first? Right? Like, you just can't fight that with this list, right? Because you can literally make one charge a turn. Because we know Death Company aren't survivable now. We know Sanguinary Guard aren't survivable now. We know Assault Marines aren't survivable. So, like, if you fight an enemy, like I fought Eldar and he had 3 fight lasts. So I actually fought Eldar, and in the battle, I never got to fight with any of my Sanguinary Guard. I always charged him, but he always made me fight last. So I never got to fight, like, after the battle I said to him, I was like, it's pretty fucking difficult to beat you if I'm never allowed to fight with my Sanguinary Guard. Because every time I try to charge, he would just make me fight last, and then he fights first. And he wipes, you know, maybe doesn't kill the whole 7 Sanguinary Guard, he kills 5 of them, and the 2 that are left can't do anything to the squad. So yeah, I'm the first person to say an entire army fighting first is bullshit. Like, it counters Blood Angels so hard, I think it makes no sense that Blood Angels don't have the ability to fight. I mean, Blood Angel, if any army should get to fight first, it's Blood Angels. We should have, our whole army should fight first. It's one reason you don't fight last in Angel Sacrifice. Yeah, even one fight last, I feel into some matchups is not enough. And there's nothing we can do about that. If you come up into one of those matchups and there's like 4 combats going on the board and you only have one fight last, then you know he's interrupting twice for free. If we think about how powerful interrupts are, you know, typically like an interrupt costs 2 CP because it's really powerful and sometimes it can wipe out the entire charging unit. If they get to do that twice every turn, or every turn there's like 4 combats, it's just ridiculous. Angel Sacrifice might be the best stratagem. Yeah, Angel Sacrifice is a good strat, but good players will not position a lot of their units around your characters. Even if you charge in, they'll consolidate and stuff so that there's only 1 or 2 models with engagement range, and Angel Sacrifice is the best of what's left. Tarek says, I honestly think Sanguinary Guard are just bad because I keep going up against Death Guard and they're damage 1. So I'm paying 30 points for an overcosted model. Sword Vanguard Vets now, you know. Yeah, I mean, I think going forward I'm running, or this season, I'm going to run one squad of 5 Sanguinary Guard. I'm going to run probably 5 Infernal Pistols, but I'm not investing any more into that. It's kind of funny that I just spent all that money and got 25 Sanguinary Guard built and painted just about, and now I'm going to run just 5 of them, but that's just that. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think entire armies fighting first, or armies with 3 fight lasts, are balanced into primarily melee lists, and that's why I find it very difficult to run a list like this. The one time I ran a list like this, I got to the final of a tournament where if I won the game, I won the tournament. I played against an enemy that had, guess what? Fight last and fight on death, and guess what? I didn't win the tournament. It's that 3rd place. I got beat so hard I didn't even finish 2nd. So yeah, that's my thought on this list. It's like there is some just direct counters to this, and it really makes me reluctant to run it, because if you come into the direct counters, then you're just like, well, fuck, I can't, unless you're playing against someone who's not a good player. But typically, if you're going like 4-0 in the tournament, you're not playing someone that's not a good player. You're playing someone at a top table who is a good player. And yeah. So my thought is like, I don't know if you've played this in Arcs of Omen, but in Arcs of Omen, if you don't have invulnerable saves, you don't get to roll saves. Um, this list has one invulnerable save in the entire list. So, again, I ran lists like this. I've ran lists like this to top tables of events as well. But I think it's Armor of Contempt going away has hurt this a lot. And then if you come into a fight last enemy, you're hurt a lot. And I'm not sure I just love one unit of troops. I think the sticky objectives is pretty nice. I guess it depends on your meta though, Benno, right? Like if you think this is good and you don't have any problems with like fight last or entire armies fighting first and you're doing well with this list, then great, you know? But for me, there always seems to be a matchup where it's like in turn 3, right? Like I'm gonna break down my game against Votan this week. Where did I put that picture? So my plan for this week is to break down some of my battles from this event that was at. 1 second. This was where I played Votan, right? And I think this was turn 2. This is where I was at the start of turn 2, right? So I had like Death Company here, I had Death Company here. My Blade Guard are actually behind that. There's an objective there. My Blade Guard are behind that wall. My Imperial Pulsar got killed on that objective turn 1. So like in this turn 2, I suddenly had Blade Guard going into these bikes, I had Death Company going into these guys, I had Death Company going into these, I had Lamartas here going into this, I had this Redemptor maybe making a longer charge, I had this Contemptor making a longer charge. So I have like, what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 charges in turn 2. The Votan player wasn't that experienced, I guess. So this being able to charge 6 of his units in turn 2 was kind of gonna win me the game. And I was set up for that, and I'm a very fast moving army, and I you know, but like imagine that his army was one of these fight first armies. So I make a fight, and then he kills one of my units with interrupt. Then I make another fight, and then he kills one of my units with interrupt. And then I make another fight, and he kills one of my units with interrupt. So in the case against the Votan, I get to fight 6 times, and he can fight once if he pays 2 CP. Whereas like into one of those fight first armies, I get to fight 3 times, and he can fight 3 times, and it doesn't cost him any CP. It's actually fucking crazy. So that's why I always tend to run the whirlwind for the fight last, just because it stops them interrupting. So if you make 2 charges and you think if he interrupts with either of those 1 charges, he's going to wipe my unit, then you can make one of them fight last, and then he can't interrupt, so you can fight with both your charging units. The second you charge with more than 2 things, then it becomes more tricky because you can't do that across 3 units. But it does help, and that's why I run the whirlwind. But yeah, it's I ran a very very similar list to the tournament. I think maybe no eliminators, maybe no assault marines. I ran the whirlwind, and rather than scepters, I ran attack bikes. But you do come into stuff that just counters this, and that's why I always say like 400 or 500 points of shooting. I think now in Arts of Omen, I'm probably doing 4 to 500 points of shooting and invulnerable saves. 4 to 500 points of invulnerable saves. Maybe even more in the invulnerable save stuff, because the second you play against some armies, that which cannot be named, and you have no invulnerable saves, you're just going to have a bad time. Because I just ran a list with like 500 points of invulnerable saves, and all the rest of the time I just didn't even get to roll a save. Whirlwind wouldn't help FF units for The Whirlwind does help fight first units because it puts them... The fight first, fight last rules are very complicated. If your armies fight first, and I charge 2 units into 2 different units, right? So I've got 2 fight firsts, you've got 2 fight firsts. So if I've got A and B, and you've got C and D, so my A against your C, I'm going to do a diagram. Fucking fight first is still so complicated. Right. So, can I get just a pencil or something? A, B, C, D, right? So A charges, B charges. So everything in this situation is fight first, right? So what I do is I hit D with fight last, right? From the Whirlwind. So D is fight last, but they also have fight first. So they cancel each other out. And they fight normal. So now what happens is, I obviously fight with A first, so A fights first. Because I don't want him to interrupt with C, because he can do that for free. So A fights first, and let's say they kill C. Brilliant. Now I get to fight with B, because they're fight first, because they charged. And D is fight normal, because I hit them with fight last from the Whirlwind. So they cannot interrupt, because the Whirlwind strat doesn't let them interrupt. And they're fight normal, which means I get to fight with my fight first units. So Whirlwind does still affect that, and it's still useful. But the second you add like a third charging unit in there, then obviously they'll be able to pick their third charging unit to interrupt higher up the chain and kill you, right? But I like the Whirlwind a lot. And that's why I always feel like I can't drop it. They can't interrupt. Suppress. When they get hit with suppressing fire, they cannot interrupt. It might not say that on the card because it's been through a bunch of FAQs, but 100% they cannot interrupt suppression fire. They can't spend the CP. They can't use any sort of nonsense where they have fight first. Only unit under the effects of fight last and no fight first effects cannot interrupt. Uses stratagem until the end of the phase. Each time this model makes an attack, it's hit. Cannot be selected to fight until all enemy units. This has been FAQ'd. I'm convinced that you can't interrupt with that, even if they're fight first. Is that what you're saying, Mark, or are we contradicting each other here? Alright, nice. We got 50 likes. Cannot be selected to fight a fight last effect. Still not sure. I'm trying to think, like, I'm pretty sure... So was the diagram that I drew and everything that I said correct? I'm pretty sure it is. Alright, we're going to look at Jason's list. And this might be the last list for tonight, as it is 20 past 11. But I mean, if your list doesn't get looked at this week, the Army List show is back. We will be doing it every Sunday night. Arts of Omen. think what this was called for a minute. Okay, so Jason's list is the Chapter Master Phobos Captain. I was going to say with the Wrath of Baal. Pretty sure he can't take the Wrath of Baal, but so I guess this is a mistake. Chief Apothecary Sanguinary Priest. Selfless Healer Armor and Dominus. Okay. And the Primaris Tech Marine with Soul Ward, and I think like I was going to say, I think Soul Warden on the Tech Marine is actually a decent choice. It helps keep your vehicles alive if they're going to get mortal spammed at them. Fight first and fight last, make them fight normal. So a charging unit against one of those... you can interrupt. Fight first, fight last puts you in the middle bracket. It was all FAQ'd. Fight last cancels fight first, and then they fight normal, hence they can interrupt. Interesting. Because I think I've played at events where people have said that if you're under a fight last, even if you charged, you can't interrupt. I'm pretty sure that's gone for me and against me at events where people hit me with like the Eldar psychic power where I fight last and I can't interrupt. It's a weird one. They should actually make that clearer because it's still confusing. And it's probably in such an old FAQ now, I'd probably struggle to even find it. We got 2 Volkite Contemptors. With Cyclone Missile Launchers, alright. We got 2 Heavy Intercessor Squads. We've got Death Company with 4 Hammers. We got 7 Sanguinary Guard with Infernal Pistols. We've got 5 Vanguard Veterans with Storm Shields. We've got Assault Terminators. We've got Plasma and Scepters. And we've got the 3 Attack Bikes with Multi-Meltas. I saw a video on Blood Angels v Tau on the other channel. Oh, I'm aware of this video with the balance state slate and new points. The Blood Angels list used Codex Warfare, Relentless Assault, and Oath of Moment to great effect. I tweaked the list a bit to be stronger in Tactical Doctrine for a single turn, but the idea is with this list is the same as his. We're going to try and stay in Devastator Doctrine to max points, then try and get a few in Assault Doctrine by bringing in the Inceptors from reserve, then go to Assault Doctrine and max points. We are able to hold the center more easily to score points with Oath again. Relentless can be swapped for behind enemy lines if needed. This list intentionally lighter on Sanguinary Guard and Death Company because we're intentionally trying to be more shooty and more tactical with our stronger combat units. Okay. So 2 Volkite Contemptors. I mean, Volkite Contemptors are good. I don't think they're killing that much in shooting. It's like 2 crack missiles and like 32 Volkite shots. Like, you're talking like we actually have to kill units. They're the only units in this list with heavy weapons as well. So if the Volkite Contemptors, if one of them gets picked off, your ability to score Codex Warfare is suddenly drastically reduced. Because when I don't know if they played it right on the other channel. I think the channel you're talking about is SNN Battle Reports. I assume they played it right, but Codex Warfare requires you to kill the unit with a heavier grenade. It's not just be in Devastator Doctrine. It's be in Devastator Doctrine and kill them with a heavy grenade. Oh, maybe the heavy intercessors are those? Is the Executioner a heavy weapon? This shows I'm just starting to build my heavy intercessors. I've never played with them. They have the Executioner. Okay, so they've got 5 shots, strength 5 minus 2 damage. Okay, that's a little bit. Still, I mean, when you compare that to other armies like Iron Hands that are running 5 Gladiator tanks or something with everything in heavy, then I don't know. I don't know if I like. I always feel Blood Angels don't like. If we could get Assault Doctrine in turn 1 and give up heavy and Devastator, I would instantly do it. I always think we just do so much more damage than Assault Doctrine. Even if we take shooting lists, and I've been running more shooting Blood Angel stuff than most people for years, right? I've run super heavy tanks to tournaments. I've run multiple dreadnoughts. I've run a 3 dreadnought shooting list. I think I ran a tournament list that had 2 Volkite Contemptors like this, a Redemptor Dreadnought, and attack bikes. So arguably that's just as much shooting. And I still wanted to be an Assault Doctrine as quickly as fucking possible. They made the FAQ with the designer comments and explained the whole fight phase. It was a pain to find. The commentator clearly says if you're affected by fight first and fight last, you fight as normal and you can make use of counter-offensive stratagems. I guess not many people know that, then Antoine. Because I've asked people, hey, can I interrupt there? And they're saying, like, no, you can't. And people have asked me if they can interrupt, and I'll have said, well, your fight last, so I'm not sure. I don't think you can. Attack bikes and Volkite don't really benefit from the Devastator Doctrine, so I mean, Volkites are -1 and Devastator. Attack bikes with the attack bikes I run are multi-melt attack bikes, right? I recommend shooty Vanguard veterans with dual grav pistols, always 2 damage if you tough targets an AP4 and Assault Doctrine. But then you're not able to score any points from Codex Warfare for that, right? I don't think I'm ever picking Codex Warfare as Blood Angels. I think there's other things you could do. I'm not disagreeing you're not right, Mark. I just think it seems like most people in the tournament circuit don't know that rule. And I think I didn't know it because I've definitely asked, hey, can I interrupt here? And I've been told no. Yeah, I don't think I'm ever going Codex Warfare. I really don't. I get that there's not a brilliant third secondary now, but I think I don't. I don't think that's enough firepower to get. Like, even if you roll really hot on mortal wounds, like you get, let's say, 5 mortal wounds or something out of one of the Volkites, they're killing one thing. Maybe a push you're killing 2. So yeah, I'm fine with you bringing more shooting stuff. I just don't think that I'm fine with you trying to do Codex Warfare. So maybe I don't know Codex Warfare. Let's say you kill 2 things on turn 1, you got 4 points. Let's say you kill 2 things on turn 2, you got 8 points. Are you now not getting to Assault Doctrine until turn 4? Let's say your Plasma Inceptors are killing 1 thing, so then you've got 9 points. You don't get to Assault Doctrine until turn 4. Now you got to kill 6 units in turn 4 and 5, assuming that you've managed to not lose that much. To kill 5 or 6 units in turn 4 and 5 for points for... How many points... Did anyone watch this battle report? How many points did the guys score for Codex Warfare? Okay, so it sounds like if you charged... Alright. If you charged and you got made fight last, you could still interrupt. It's just I kind of agree with somebody said earlier, like we should just be using initiative +1, -1 or something, because Veil of Time becomes worthless, right? Which is kind of silly. Because you would think like you could charge and then you could cast Veil of Time and then that would counter if you got the fight last, but it doesn't because you can never stack. So I think the fight first, fight last shenanigans, the nonsense that it is, it should just be clarified into like initiative place +1, -1 or something. The only other thing the real rules does not clarify is which units are eligible to fight, and so can make use of counteroffensive stratagem. In practice, using the above rules, you can select any fight first or fight normal usage for the stratagem. Yeah, people don't know that, honestly. I mean, I didn't even know that, and I play a fighty army. So, and other people I've played against don't know that either. I probably need to save that. Do you know what? I'll download it. Because genuinely, honestly, people don't know that, Mark. Thanks for that, though. When was that even released? I remember them doing that, but it's so long ago. It's hard. It's hard to keep up. So sorry for your Giants loss. Yeah, they got humped, didn't they? It always happens. It's like one of my teams does great, one of the teams does terrible. Sorry, did anyone watch that SNL battle report? Does anyone know how many points he scored for? I'll check into that, but I really don't like the idea of trying to do Codex Warfare for Blood Angels. I mean, I was thinking of running a Black Templars list, which has way more firepower, right? Like to the nth degree. Like my Black Templars list, I actually have it. I can bring it up 1 second. Like the Black Templars list that I was gonna run has like we've got heavy intercessors, we've got 1, 2, 3 redemptors, we've got a gladiator, a repulsor, an impulsor, and remember all the tanks for Black Templars get free multi-meltas. So you've got multi-meltas on everything. The impulsor has the missiles because you don't need the shield dome. The repulsor has like las cannons and heavy onslaught cannons, and I think even the regular onslaught cannon is a heavy. The gladiator lancer has the multi-melta and the rocket pods, and obviously the main cannon, it's not listed there. And then I've got 3 redemptors. They've all got onslaught cannons, rocket pods, macro plasmas. So this has like 3 or 4 times the firepower of that Blood Angels list. I don't think I would take Codex Warfare. I mean, I could try it, but I just don't think that Codex Warfare is. I just don't. The only way to win is to embrace the Codex. Blood Angels Codex is not a shooting codex. Yeah, or take Guilliman with you, maybe. You can make things more shooty. 3 Ball Predators in Guilliman. I don't have 3 Ball Predators. I do have a shitload of regular Predators, though. So it could run a bunch of regular Predators. I saw someone that was using Volkites in Codex Warfare and Devastator Doctor, and he scored very high with it, says Jim. Okay. I don't know. I mean, maybe I'll try it with my Black Templars list when I finally get that on the table, but yeah, doesn't seem like it would be that strong to me. Alright, we're going to do one more list, and then we're gonna call a stream. If you are enjoying tonight's stream and there's been a lot of back and forth, please hit the like button. I do appreciate it. Alright, what we got in this last list is by Rowan. This list is fairly similar to what he's been running the last 6 months. He's been able to track 2 Interceptor squads and a Chapter Champion with the points I've freed up. I used to run and had great success with the old 6-month Centurion squads, but I've switched them to Aggressors. I'd probably do the same as well, because Aggressors are so cheap, and I feel like I've taken what could be relatively standard Captain the Bike, Mephiston, and standard Sanguinary Priest. Alright, so Captain on the Bike, Rights of War, Infernal Pistol, Armor, Indomitus. It's exactly how I run mine. He's actually given him Gift of Foresight as well. I'm not sure he needs the Gift of Foresight, but just that's fine. And Mephisto at 125 points. I guess Mephisto's probably worth running 125 points now. Sucks he's got no invulnerable save and he's weaker because no Armor of Contempt, I guess. Sanguinary Ancient. One Infiltrator Squad. 2 5-man Blade, Blade Guard Aggressors and the Company Champion. You got Death Company with Infernal Pistols and Power Sword. You got Death Company with 5 Hammers. You've got the 2 Sanguinary Guard. You get the 2 Inceptors, and then you've got the Attack Bikes. Okay. No invulnerable saves across the whole army. 1 invulnerable. Sorry, the Captain has an invulnerable save. I think you're going to have a bad time if you run Blood Angels now with 1 invulnerable save. Even if you got extra points and stuff. Enemy Marine armies staying in their preferred doctrine is going to really, really hurt. It was 8470 for the Blood Angels. Okay. But yeah, this is what I was saying. Blood Angels are going to really struggle to get anywhere near 100 points. I was toying with the Blood Angels Devastator squad. Do you know what? Over the Christmas holidays, I was going to build my drop pod. I didn't get round to it. I did build all my Star Wars Legion before I won this new box of Legion in this event. So I'll get to my Devastators. I'm gonna hopefully get some paint on my proxy rebooting me this week. I like the fact that he's tried to go like a couple more stronger, durable. Elite choices. I do like that, but I think the choices that are better have invulnerable saves. Martial Exemplar is strong in the Company Champion. It gives rerolls. Yeah, Martial Exemplar is possibly better than Imperium Sword, because Imperium Sword is giving him +1 attack and rerolls himself, whereas Martial Exemplar is giving him aura of rerolls. The other thing you can do, yeah, most of all these units are core, so it would probably be better to do that. 2 Death Company, 2 Sandguard. My experience of Death Company and Sandguard now is they just die. They just die so fucking fast. None of them survive even a single turn when they get any pressure put on them. It's probably just the end of the... It's the end of the Armor of Contempt. Everybody was speccing into stuff that had a lot of AP to kill Armor of Contempt units. So we still have those specs. I'll be back in just 1 second. So yeah, we still have the meta where everybody's running these really high AP stuff, and Death Company and Sanguinary Guard, and even aggressors. Everything, all Inceptors, all this stuff without invulnerable save is going to die so fast. Maybe the meta is going to change. People are still playing Death Company. Are they worth it? Yeah, I think so. I think personally, I'm going to run 2 squads of Death Company, and maybe 1 squad of Sanguinary Guard, but they're all going to be minimum size, like 5 models, and they're all going to be trying to keep their points down. And then I'm going to back, because those units are going to jump in, they're going to kill something, they're going to instantly die. Which is fine as long as they kill something, and they will kill something, they do a lot of damage. But if you don't have units that can sit on objectives and survive, then I think you're going to have a tough time. Yeah. We'll know more. I'm playing Iron Hands not this week, but next again. I'm going to try and tailor a list to see if I can actually beat Iron Hands. Yeah, arm's doing much better, thanks. I can sort of lift it up quite a bit. I've just had the cast off for a week now. The muscles are still a bit sore, but I think they said like they're going to see me again in 6 weeks. I think in another week or 2 I'm going to be damn near fine. I think having kids forces you to do things with your arm and like push yourself. Because like picking up the kids, changing nappies, all this sort of stuff has made the arm recover way quicker than it might have needed to. Yeah. Okay, so yeah, I'm gonna get more games on the channel, obviously. Play Iron Hands in the rain, and they're just rust hands. Yeah, they certainly don't feel rusty. Pedroig, I don't know if you saw them last week. Holy shit, they're broken. They're hitting stuff like they're hitting Marines in cover, and you're not even getting saves. It's just ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. It feels like Tau or easy mode in comparison or something. So they're making one of the most shooty armies in 40k look like a joke. I'll play them again next week. We'll see. Alright, I think that's me for tonight. If you didn't get your list reviewed this week, let me know. We'll get it up next week. If you want to submit a boarding actions list, because we looked at a couple, they were like, I don't want to say they were half-baked, but we didn't really know what boarding actions is yet. So if you want to submit a boarding actions list as well, I am planning on commissioning the boarding actions train. Andrew didn't even play them as a successor chapter. No, he just played them as standard Iron Hands, and they fucking rocked me. What's funny is Andrew, that was literally the first time Andrew played that list. I just played that list 5 times at the previous weekend and won a tournament with it. And he absolutely rocked me, and it wasn't even a challenge for him. Did you use a lot of vehicles? He used 4 gladiators, 3 Leviathan dreadnoughts. I think it was a squad of infiltrators, a squad of servitors, a drop pod with multi-meltas, and like a tech marine. That was his whole list. Mark's ordered the boarding actions rulebook. Yeah, I'm looking forward to boarding actions for sure. But yeah, I'm going to get the train commissioned so that I don't have to do it myself. Master Artisan sound a lot better than the 6+++. I think the 6+++ gives Iron Hands quite a bit of extra durability just because it's armor wide. And remember, the thing about Iron Hands, which is cool, is all their vehicles count for double for wounds remaining. So sometimes just ignoring that 1 extra wound from a 6-up means that they get to stay in top bracket for like the next round of combat. It can be pretty big. Leviathan is basically a knight. Yeah, and one of his Leviathans, he had a 5-up feel no pain on as well. And I think it had +1 wound, and it was a character as well. So you'd like plus strength and plus attacks. You didn't even really need that many stratagems, honestly. Like, Iron Hands are just that strong, it's almost like they don't even need stratagems. Okay, alright, thanks for watching this week, guys. We'll be back next week for the army list. I'm planning on streaming maybe like Wednesday night. We'll do some painting. I've got models to paint for my next event, so no live game this week. We'll play next week because Andrew had to cancel on me. So we'll get a rematch against Iron Hands. Wednesday I guess it'll be the 1st of February. 6+ statistically means the Leviathans have 16 wounds instead of 14. Yeah, it does, but I mean, I guess just having 1 more wound not get chipped away and you stay in 1 bracket higher can be pretty good. Mind you, plus it's their whole army. So if their whole army is 6+ and they've got like 100 wounds from vehicles, it's like giving 20 wounds extra. It's not bad. Leviathan as a character means you can still shoot it. Yeah, you can still shoot it. Just my Blood Angels list isn't really prepared to take out Leviathan dreadnoughts with shooting. Right? Like I'm just not prepared to do that, I think. I have a little bit of shooting, but usually not enough to kill Leviathan. Alright, enjoy. Appreciate everybody hanging out. Leave me a comment down below if there's any further questions. And I'll catch you next week. Thanks so much for watching. Good night, guys. Peace.